All right, so we have a Scrimba challenge that we need to solve here, and basically what he wants us to do is to move the star image into its own component. And by the star image, I believe he means this image right here. So we want to move it to its own component, and it should receive a prop called isFilled that it uses to determine which icon it will display. So let's just go ahead and create a new component called star.jsx. And we can go ahead and allow our object state file to be used again. So now when we reload and we go back, we see that we get our card over here locally. So what we can do here is we can cancel out this counter for now. And one thing I want to do here, is move it a little bit just so that I can see it a little bit better. So we can go, is it 8? Let's just say MR, and let's say 8 or ML. Yeah, let's just move it just so I can see it a little bit better. Okay, 14. And we'll just say 12. I think 12 is the best we're going to get it. So now what we basically want to do is we want to have the star component here place its star, I guess, reference. So this IMG here, we want to move it to a new component. So if we remove it from here, we lose it. And then if we say export default function, and then we'll just say it's a star, we can return the star component. And since we use export default, we can go ahead and import it at the top of our other file. So we can say import star from star.jsx. And then we can go down here and we can place our star where we want it to be. So we can go ahead and say star. And what are we getting here? Star icon is not defined. So the reason why star icon is not defined is because we're going to have to go ahead and pass some props. And the props is going to come from this instance right here. So what we can do is we can go ahead and say, let's go ahead and say star icon, should we say? Let's go ahead and say star icon. The SRC is going to be a star icon, which changes depending on this. So star is going to equal, let's say star, I'm trying to think of a name. So set star icon is going to equal, and this is a prop that will now be passed into this new component over here. So instead of SRC, we're going to say props dot set star icon. So now we have set star icon in here. And then now we're getting toggle favorite is not defined, and that's fine. So now what we can go ahead and do is we can on click. Oh, this on click is also coming from this component over here. I just realized that. So we'll have to say, that's weird. So for the star icon, let's just go ahead and say it's going to be the contact dot. No. This is a little bit more complex than I thought. Okay. Let's go back to the directions. So it says move the star image into its own component. It should receive a prop called isFilled that it uses to determine which icon will display. So we can say isFilled here, and then instead we can say props.isFilled. And then now here it's supposed to use is filled to determine which icon it'll display. So what we need to pass to it here is the current state, or current state. So the current state, we can get it like, we need to look at the original real quick. Need to get star icon. So now we get star icon from there. Toggle favorite. Let's just remove this for now. And what we'll notice is that it'll be all messed up. So that's one of the things that is hard to overcome. I don't know if we can pass class names to components like this. So let me try this real quick. Let's go ahead and paste this in here. Let's say toggle favorites is not defined. We can just reload real quick. And yeah, I don't think we can do that to components. So we'll just have to go ahead and say height. Let me see what that does. 2em. And then the width, 2ems. So that fixed that there. So now we want to go back into our object state, and now we have the is filled star icon. So that works. So what happens if we pass true? It'll go ahead and render it. And then if we pass false, it'll go ahead and take that away. So what he wanted to do is make a prop called is filled, and that it uses to determine which one to display. So is filled will take in star icon, and star icon is going to reference the contact state is favorite. So it's going to go into the contact state, which is an object, and it's going to pull out the is favorite. So that's here. This is false. And then we go ahead and toggle is favorite by setting our contacts to the previous state. So the previous state is the previous object here. And then basically opening this as another object literal. So cloning this current object right here, we go ahead and clone it right here. We pass in all of its values. So all of these values right here, and we update the is favorite. And the is favorite is going to be not the previous state of is favorite. So since it's not going to be the previous state, and the previous state is false, the previous state here will be true, and we'll just flip true, false, true, false, true, false. And is filled is going to take a prop, or the star icon is going to take a prop of is filled, and it's going to take in the star icon, which will change depending on what this property or what this key will be in our state, depending on this function right here. So we pass it as that. And then to reference it in our other file, we go ahead and we say props dot is filled, and then we have our class name, and then these are all of our classes. But basically, of course, we have to reference it this way, because if we console.log props, we'll see that we get is filled as a prop, because that is the prop we passed it through here. And then we can also pass in a prop, let's say, of the function name. So let's say function, and our function is going to be toggle favorite. So now when we reload, we get is filled, and we should get our function of toggle favorite. So I think we could even name this something else. So we can say is fave. So it is fave is still going to be a function. And then we can pass is fave as an on click, I believe. So we can say on click equals, and then we can say props dot is fave, and it should work if we click on and off. So I don't think he was asking us to do that in here. So it says import and render that component, passing the value of is favorite to the new is filled prop. Don't worry about the ability to flip this quite yet. Instead, you can test if it's working by manually changing his favorite, but we were able to make it work anyways. So this was really, really just gimmicky. But another thing that we can see is that every time we change our state here will change. So our props will change, but also the state here will also change. So I can show this by just going console.log object state reloaded. And when we see, we get object state reloaded. But we're also reloading this file here. So the child file is also getting reloaded. So we can say star file or star reloaded. And when we go ahead and do that and we flip it on and we change state, we see that every time we change state, both of these files are being refreshed. So we can remove that. We can also remove this. Pretty bad explanation, but I think that's the best explanation I have right now. I'm going to go ahead and watch this and see if I did it correctly.